Welcome to Between the Left and Hard Place. We're a center-left podcast. I'm Dean Charles. I'm your host. And today, I have a message for American Democratic politicians. If you're a Democratic politician, your time is running out to denounce Zohran Mamdani, to say, I'm not a socialist. I don't support socialism. I don't support what the Democratic Socialists of America stand for. I'm a capitalist. Because if you don't, it's going to be used against you for the next year. If you're whatever you're running for, whether it's Congress, Senate, local, city council, mayor, it doesn't matter, state assembly, whatever you're running for, it's going to be used against you. Every Republican is doing it already. If you watch Fox News, that's all they talk about. They all talk about it. But so many Democratic politicians don't want to denounce socialism. Have you read the Democratic Socialists of America political platform? I keep saying this over and over again, but it doesn't seem like you do. You just had the No Kings Parade yesterday. Do you understand who sponsored that event? I know a lot of good moderate Democrats went out to that rally, but do you know who sponsored it? The Communist Party, the Democratic Socialists of America. Have you seen what's growing in the Democratic Party in the United States? I can't imagine that's what you want. It totally looks like Zohran Mamdani is going to win mayor of New York. He leads the polls by a lot right now. And New York doesn't necessarily dictate the rest of the United States, but I'm just warning everybody to be careful. I mean, you have politicians that said they didn't support him, but they're not denouncing him either. And that's a problem. I'll give you an example. Cory Booker, Bush is a socialist. Cory Booker said to Manu Raju on CNN, New York, I represent New Jersey, whatever happens in New York, something to that effect. And a lot of people followed suit with that. That's New York. I care about New Jersey. That's who I represent. I don't care what happens in New York, is basically what he said, to paraphrase. And a lot of politicians have done that. I mean, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer have not endorsed Mamdani, but they haven't supported him. They haven't denounced him either. They haven't said, I denounce socialism. We're capitalists here in the United States. This isn't going to fly in the swing districts in Congress. I can tell you that, where Congress has won and lost. Do I have to explain it again? There's only 35, 40 districts, even with redistricting, it's going to happen, that are going to mean anything in the next election. That's how Congress will be decided. Who's got the most Congress people, the Republicans or the Democrats? Everything else is already said. It's just a question of whether socialists are going to primary moderate Democrats in other districts, because they'll probably win even if they're socialists. But you know what? If the socialists primary moderate Democrats, there's probably a few districts where the Republicans will have a chance. They'll have a big chance. Listen, the Republicans are all over the Democrats, calling them all socialists. It's their mantra. Carolyn Leavitt, the press secretary for Trump, said all Democrats are Hamas supporters and terrorists. That's how this is going to go for the next year till the midterms. And you can see how it turns out. If you're a moderate, you got to say it now, because when you say it later, they go, well, you didn't denounce Mamdani, so what are you doing? As mayor of New York, you think that's going to go well? You think his administration is going to go well? Do you? Because I don't know anybody that does. I don't know one economist that thinks it will. It's most likely scenario, and prove me wrong, 6 months from now, a year from now, there'll be a mass exodus from New York. There's likely crime. It will peak. Crime may be unstoppable under Mamdani. Safety is out the window. Food lines, if he goes through with his grocery store plan, city-run grocery stores, the other grocery stores will just close down. Then you'll have lines for food. So people won't be able to get food. Maybe history's wrong, because history shows that what he wants to do can't work. He's following the DSA script. Just download the Democratic Socialists of America political platform. I can't believe that people don't do that and read it. He follows the script. So does AOC. I call it AOC's Project 2029. I don't know what people don't get about it. Where's his money coming from to support his campaign? There's always dark money in political action committee funds. Where do you think that's coming from? My guess is Saudi Arabia, Iran, Qatar. I wish somebody would follow the money, seriously. He's been accused of it already. We have a growing socialistic communist movement among the young people, but I don't even know if they understand what that means. People want to equate Sweden with socialism, and that is just dead wrong. Sweden is not a socialist country. They're a capitalist country. Look it up. Please comment on what I'm talking about. Am I talking to myself? Seriously, comment. Let's get this rolling. I want to hear what you guys have to say. None of it makes sense that socialism and communism could take over. And I know everybody on the left is worried about fascism, but trust me when I tell you, the middle, the independents, they're going to choose fascism over socialism, especially older folks like me, right? We're going to choose fascism over socialism. If you want to get into the reasons for that, we can. But tell me what you think. Socialism or fascism? I'd like to know. Megyn Kelly accused Alyssa Slotkin. She was basically accusing her of being a wolf in sheep's clothes. She's not really a moderate. Besides John Fetterman, she's probably the most moderate senator in the Senate. And Megyn Kelly was calling her basically a socialist, right? She went on, because I guess she went on The View or something. Megyn Kelly has some particular problem with Alyssa Slotkin. I'm not sure what, but she's accused her of being a socialist or a very left wing Democrat. If a conservative could accuse Alyssa Slotkin, they could accuse everybody, anybody, except maybe John Fetterman. I'm not sure. But somebody will find a way to accuse him too, maybe because he's pro-choice. I don't think people understand what you're doing by not denouncing socialism. Thinking that you need the base is wrong. You need independents, left-leaning Democrats, and maybe some right-leaning Republicans, the moderates, the independents, the people in the middle on both the right and the left. That's who you need. You don't need the far left base and the squad. What do you think the squad wants to do to this country? When you look at Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and AOC, and I heard Cori Bush is running again to try and get her seat back. All she does is blame AIPAC, and Cori Bush just wants clicks. You don't hear his name because he's not out for clicks. He's out to represent the first district of Missouri, St. Louis. Cori Bush could care less. She represents Rashida Tlaib's district. That's why she lost. If that's what you want now, I don't even know what to say. That means that our country is moving in a direction I can't recognize. DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America political platform, it's not the same as the Democratic platform. You can look it up. Please, I want to know what you guys think about this, because I can't believe what's happening in Congress. If the moderates in the moderate districts and these districts that are pure purple, whoever's running, if you don't denounce socialism, you're going to lose. That's the whole Republican agenda. And if you're on the wrong side of the 80-20 issues, you're going to lose too. Here's where Democrats can really affect people's thoughts in this upcoming election. One is Citizens United. Talk about how Citizens United needs to be revoked, removed, changed, tightened, something. Foreign money is a problem in this country and shouldn't be allowed. Look at Georgia, for example, in their Senate races over the last few cycles, because in Georgia, you have to have a runoff if somebody doesn't get 50%. So they've had runoffs and huge Senate races. The last one with Herschel Walker, each side spent close to $100 million. That's money that goes directly into the coffers of the state of Georgia, basically from all over the world, really. Huge amounts of money. Broke records in Senate races. Honestly, I've always said that if I was the mayor of some city and it was purple and the race for Congress was close, I'd be calling both sides and say, hey, it's really close. We need more money. If the money goes directly into your city, that's gold for politicians and for the state. It helps economies tremendously. So that's where it's a double-edged sword. But Citizens United is a problem, and it probably needs to be looked at and talked about, and politicians need to talk about it more. Another issue is term limits. If politicians could just somehow agree to term limits, a lot of problems would be solved. And they're not going to do it. Doesn't look like they're going to do it because there's too much excess that goes along with the job that comes to the politicians themselves. I don't know how else to describe it. There's too many benefits to the job they're doing. That's why people never want to stop. The job's not that hard, number one. And number two, they don't take it that seriously, most of them. And they get a lot of money having the job. I mean, people talk about that all the time, how much money the politicians make, especially in Congress and Senate. But the other thing that needs to be seriously talked about is Section 230. Section 230 is causing a lot of problems in our country. It's probably one of the biggest causes for division that we've ever seen. All these companies don't want this to happen, but whether it's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, they're protected from being sued. They can't get sued for what other people say on their platforms. At least needs to be looked at and tightened up more. And the case law isn't 100% settled, and it needs to be looked at further. And the Senate and the House should do something about it. Seriously, I don't know that President Trump would want to do anything because he has his own platform now, Truth Social. I don't understand how people can't look at that and say, hey, this is a problem. Allow them to be sued if they do something that's pretty egregious. It has to be looked at by Congress, not just let the Supreme Court decide. These are all things that American politicians have to seriously consider, have to seriously talk about. If you're a Democratic politician running for office next year, you got to take a good look quickly on whether you're going to denounce socialism or support socialism, because not denouncing it means you support it. And every single Republican, go watch Fox News, look online, go look at some of the other news agencies. To them, every single Democrat is a socialist. I don't believe in the Democratic Socialist platform. I don't believe in defunding the police. I don't believe in letting everybody out of jail. I don't believe in open borders. I don't see how it's possible to give free healthcare with no money. Who's going to do it? No doctor's even going to want to be a doctor anymore. And then the list goes on and on. They're a racist organization. They call themselves a feminist organization, and they're anti-white. It says it, anti-white colonialism. It says it all over their political platform. They don't like white people. Why do you think white young people, especially white men, are leaving for the Republican Party? All men, because it's not really just white men, it's all men. Read it and comment below and tell me what you think. Please consider what I'm saying. If you're a Democratic politician in this country, are you going to support socialism? Maybe you're a socialist, that's okay. I just think socialists belong in their own party. Socialism doesn't belong in the Democratic Party. It's not the same beliefs. You're going to force guys like me to go to the Republicans. I'm choosing the Republicans over socialism any day. I'm this close to switching. Been a Democrat my whole life. Trying to be a cog in the wheel, like Chris Cuomo, Stephen A. Smith, and Bill Maher. I'm a fan of all of them. They have taken the mantle for the center left. They're disgusted with both the right, the far right, and the far left. People like me, it seems like the people on the right are much more able to align with MAGA. Like if you're a center right, someone that feels like they're a moderate Republican, the MAGA people call you a rhino, but you feel more aligned with them than the socialists. But how about the center left? Is there a place for the center left? Can we come back to the center left? I mean, I don't know many people other than the people I just mentioned that are out there every day trying to support the center left. But I just want to be a cog in that wheel. I'm just trying to explain, if you want to uphold true democratic values like pro-choice, women's rights, I personally believe we need regulations. I've seen too many times people, you give them an inch, they take 10 miles, and corporations will take 10 miles every time you give them an inch. You need regulations. I don't believe in over-regulating, but I don't believe in no regulations either. As an example, the train crash in Palestine, Ohio, right? Nothing's happened since then. So that train didn't have to crash. It wasn't updated with the latest technology on the train to prevent that crash. And no regulations have been put in place since to stop it from happening again. So guess what? There's a good chance it's going to happen again. I believe in some regulations, common sense regulations. The world needs common sense, pragmatic regulations, whether it's that industry or any other industry. We all know the stories of chemicals leaking into rivers and streams, polluting nearby water sources so that people get cancer. Erin Brockovich, that movie, everybody's heard of that. So there was regulations put in place to stop that. Without regulations, that's just going to happen again. That's another reason why I'm a Democrat. There's many more reasons. You can tell me what your reasons for being a Democrat are. I believe in equality for all, racial, social justice, but not the way the Democratic Socialists of America say it. They are anti-white. I'm pro everyone. I'm pro equality, no matter who it is. I thought we were heading in that direction when I was a kid. Seriously, I'll go into that one day. But when I was a kid, it seemed like America was actually heading in that direction. And it got better for a while. As an example, some of the 80-20 issues that the Democrats are on the wrong side of. If you're going to run for office, you have to be on the right side of the 80-20 issues. And you got to stop this nonsense. If you're a biological male, you cannot play in women's sports. We respect transgender rights, and who you want to be is up to you. I have no problem with that. Never have. But I also have to respect the rights of young girls competing in sports. They have the right to compete in sports without having to face men. That's just another example of something that Democratic politicians have to think about, because you still lose the middle if you're not on the right side of simple 80-20 issues. Some things are just simple, and that's where the numbers are. That's not even an 80-20 issue, it's a 99-1. I don't understand why anyone would be on the other side of that. It's still, again, I want to hear people's comments, because maybe I'm all wrong. But if you're a Democratic politician and you don't denounce socialism and you don't state unequivocally that you are a capitalist, you believe in the Constitution, that you want to uphold the 250-year-old experiment that we've been having in the United States, if that's what you want, then you need to denounce socialism. They don't even belong in our party. Seriously, think about this. I need you to think about this. I need you to seriously consider what I'm telling you, because whoever you're running against is going to be all over you, all over you. I thought we were going in the right direction. Seriously, equal rights was on the horizon, I thought, for everyone. Men, women, race, creed, color, whatever, religion. I didn't think any of that was going to be a problem. And I lived in some big cities. I lived in Boston when I was in college. I lived in New York after college, in New York City. I moved to Los Angeles and spent time in all the biggest cities in the United States. I thought we were going in the right direction. On the whole, people were willing to accept people for who they were. And that meant if you were gay, transgender, whatever, thought it was getting better and better. Black, white, Asian, whatever your color, creed, religion was, I thought we were moving in the right direction. And I'm older, I'm in my 60s. So I'm talking about 40 years ago, 30 years ago. I thought we were in the right direction, but somehow things changed again and it started getting worse. People started feeling the pinch of not being successful. I think a lot happened with the internet and now with social media because people look at other people's lives and always think someone else's life is better, and they don't appreciate the life that they have, the choices that they made, because everyone's had choices. And yes, some people hit hard times and no one's there to help. Those are the things we need to work on with our social structure in the United States. Definitely needs to be worked on, needs to be made better. That's where a place like Sweden does well. They're a capitalist country. Their social net is just higher than ours. They take better care of the people that are in trouble. And they do things like give more time for when you're having a baby, you get more time off, you get more vacation time in general. And I think they put a limit on how much a billionaire can have, like 10 billion or something. I don't know. I got to look that up because I'm not positive. That's something that can be talked about in our country also. People have a hard time with the ultra rich having so much money and so much power, especially in politics. And I think that's one of the big problems we face. And that's a problem that could probably be solved, or should it be solved? I'm not sure. I don't even know how I feel about it. So you can tell me how you feel about it. But these are some of the reasons why I'm a Democrat and why I still want to try and support the Democratic Party. I need Democrats to say that. I saw John Fetterman the other day and they asked him, why aren't you a Republican? He didn't really answer. He didn't give a really great answer. He just said, if you check my record, 90% of my votes are with the Democrats, when it comes to Congress, which I guess that's a valid point. He disagrees with the socialists and the far left. And he doesn't want to call the people on the right fascists and Nazis. And I don't either. The right thing to do is just to go vote. The only option we have is in the voting booth and peaceful protest. What really comes down to the voting booth, who you're voting for, what they say, what their stance is. Why do you want to vote for them? And if you vote for them, right? That's where the power of the people are. And the people actually have more power than they think. You saw what happened when an actual boycott happens. I've only seen the boycotts happen on the right that have been successful, to be honest with you. Like Bud Light, when the transgender female did a Bud Light commercial, but caused Bud Light to change their tune. So everybody has that power. Something's too expensive, stop doing it. If everybody stopped doing it, prices would come down. As far as New York City, I don't understand the kids in New York because I lived in New York after college. I lived in a small 15 by 15 studio apartment with a roommate. We were both working nonstop, trying to get our start in life in New York. And that's how we lived. We had no money. Our big night out was jogging around the reservoir in Central Park and then coming back and there's a place called Chirping Chicken. We would go to Chirping Chicken and watch Magnum PI on TV in the 80s. This is in the 80s. Otherwise, we're eating ramen and maybe going out on Friday or Saturday night, having enough money to go out somewhere on a Friday, Saturday night. And if we really wanted to splurge, that's if we weren't working on Friday and Saturday night in our second job. I think New York's more expensive then than it is now. If you wanted to make it, that's what you had to do. Now kids want handouts. I don't understand. Listen, American politicians, please hear me. You only have a couple weeks left to decide. Are you going to denounce socialism? If you support Mamdani, you should just form a socialist party. And if you say nothing, you're supporting him. That's how it's going to be viewed by the Republicans. So please, if you consider yourself a Democrat and not a Democratic Socialist of America, denounce Mamdani. Anyway, thank you for listening. Please comment, do all the stuff that people ask for, like, whatever. I hope I'm getting through to people or it means something. But anyway, thank you for listening.